Hello, I'm John Feldt, and this is the weekly water outlook for December 23rd, 2012. Well, it's getting a lot more active. We can tell that we're in winter now, and pretty much as expected last week, most of the middle part of the country was fairly quiet with not much rain, well below normal rainfall. We had some significant rain over parts of the upper Midwest into the Great Lakes states, and that was very significant because it came in the form of very heavy snow and blizzard-like conditions. Over the southeast U.S., it's been quite some time since we've had such widespread rainfall over parts of the southeast U.S. It could go a little bit further east to be helpful, but it did produce very heavy rain. As a matter of fact, this is the Lake Lanier Basin, and that's very critical because it stores a lot of the water that works its way down through Alabama and parts of northwest Florida. The northeast U.S. was very active. You can see we had large areas of significant rain over the northeast U.S. in the form of rain and snow. And then look at the Pacific Northwest and Northern California. We've sort of been alternating back and forth between weeks that were very much above normal and still wet weeks, but not quite as much so. Last week was definitely one of the very wet weeks with heavy rain and snow. Matter of fact, you can see we had 10 inches of rain over parts of the immediate coast. Now, if we look at percent of normal, one of the things we've seen more recently is this patchwork of blues and reds. As we were in fall, we saw very widespread reds, and right now we're seeing a little bit more blues. And I'm going to show you in a bit where this came right here and where this came, this area right here above normal, was pretty welcome because those areas have been very dry for the most part, and that's producing some drought relief for those regions. Now, the Pacific Northwest and the Northeast U.S. had well above normal rainfall last week, and again, look how widespread it was over the Northeast U.S. and then how it extended over the Pacific Northwest into parts of Northern California. I'm going to be talking a lot more about snow as we're getting into the deeper part of winter, and last week I wanted to show you the snow event we had. The orange here was 7 to 14 inches of snow, and the green was 14 to 20 inches of snow. Very significant major snowstorm, and this is where the extent of snow is right now over the nation. This is a southern extent, and some of that has probably melted a bit, some of that area in white, the lighter amount, but we're beginning to build up a snowpack, and the darker blue here, that's more significant and deeper snow, and when that melts eventually, that will help in the upper soil recharge. Now, this is an image I try to overlay drought monitor and the past 7-day rainfall. And it's a little bit hard to see, but what I wanted to point out here is the area of rain that I mentioned in the form of snow over the Midwest, and then this area of rain over the southeast U.S. And underneath there is the drought monitor. And I wanted to show you that that fell over an area of drought, and it's given us some relief. Now, if you look at Texas and Oklahoma here, that area had no rain last week, and you can see where that red is. That's the deepest drought, and that's the area that really needs a rain and just hasn't been getting it. Now, you might, if you're a frequent listener, I talk about teleconnections a lot during the winter months, and that's because they drive precipitation patterns many times. And we're in a negative phase Arctic oscillation below this line, and we've been sort of had a triple dip here. It started in late November. And it is getting a little bit unusual how long this is lasting. You see they alternate between negative and positive phases, and usually every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we sort of go back into a different phase, either neutral or positive. And I think that's going to happen over the next week or so, but at least for right now, we remain in a negative phased Arctic oscillation, and that's driving precipitation patterns. So this is what you would expect with that negative phase. We have pooling of colder air, jet stream dipping south, and we have systems of energy moving along that jet stream, picking up moisture, and where those boundaries of the colder air, Arctic air, and the warmer air collide, we have very active weather systems. And we'll have another one this week, early this week, and you can see the paths on Monday and Tuesday of the low. And generally this time of year in winter, to the north of the path of the low, it's often in the colder air we have snow, and then to the south we have rain. Now, I wanted to point out here, this is a classic system, and this is the model precipitation, and here's your deep low, and I wanted to point out in blue here, this is very common how you might see precipitation in a pattern like this with a very deep low. The area up in this area here is in what we call the deformation zone, and that is often in the cold air, especially north of this blue line, and that can either be a very heavy, steady rain, or it could be a very heavy snow. And then down to the south, this is in the warmer air, and this is where we get our thunderstorms and showers and running very heavy rain. So we are seeing classic type winter systems now that produce a very widespread variety of precipitation. And here's an outlook for this week with this system, and look at all the different types of precipitation you're going to get over the middle part of the nation. Freezing rain, snow, heavy snow, showers, severe thunderstorms, flash flooding. So this is what you would expect in the middle of winter with a strong system, and with that negative Arctic oscillation, it's packing the temperature gradient right through this region. That's why it's enhancing and bringing more rain to the southeast U.S., and it's also tightening up that gradient between the cold air and the warmer air, which not only brings precipitation, but it also brings that mix of winter precipitation, snow, and then showers and thunderstorms. So the trends and threats this week, I think I've described them pretty close. Sort of wet over the southeast U.S., either rain or snow. That'll extend up into the northeast U.S. Unfortunately, the middle part of the nation is still going to be fairly dry, and then the Pacific Northwest, Northern California, once again wet. This is very similar to the previous week. This is an outlook from NOAA on the precipitation amounts in the upcoming week. One comment here, very similar to last week, and if you're a southeast U.S. listener, you're really hoping that some of this rain pulls further into the middle Savannah River Basin or else into the southeast part of Georgia. That really needs a lot of rain, and that line's been very persistent right here. But still, this area of Georgia up into the Carolinas can use that precipitation, and that will be welcome. So the takeaway points, the northwest U.S., the northeast U.S., and the southeast U.S. will be very active this week with a mix of rain and snow. Some drought relief will persist or continue over the southeast U.S. with heavy precipitation over northwest and northern California, and then that heavy snow band from Oklahoma, Arkansas, and the Tennessee Valley, and perhaps a change in the Arctic oscillation early in 2013. Now, I'd like to wish you a very Merry Christmas. Have an enjoyable holiday period. I appreciate you being a subscriber of Blue Water Outlook in 2012, and I will be talking to you again next week. Until that time, Merry Christmas.